Good evening, I'm Cynthia Ng. You are tuning in to AWANI tonight. Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim dismissed allegations that the government decided to hold the Malaysia Madani open house in Kedah, Kelantan and Terengganu because these are opposition-held states and would be holding their elections in the next few months. The Prime Minister said similar events would be held in other states too.
Datuk Sri, ada bertanya kenapa buat open house dekat negeri ni Bakar, Datuk Sri?
Negeri banyak semua. Selangor ada. Selangor.
Tapi tak timbul isu negeri terbakar sajalah.
Tak.
The Prime Minister's department announced that the Malaysia Madani open house in conjunction with Aidilfitri will be held in Kedah on April 29th, Kelantan May 12th and Terengganu May 13th. It said that Anwar was also expected to attend 3 other open house events in Selangor, Penang and Negeri Sembilan. The Transport Ministry is examining mechanisms to address the issue of expensive airfares prior to all festive seasons, especially for routes to and from Sabah and Sarawak. Transport Minister Anthony Loke says that Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim gave him a mandate to solve the matter in the last cabinet meeting.
According to Loke, the Transport Ministry was looking for solutions not only during the Hari Raya Aidilfitri period, but for other festivals including Chinese New Year and Hari Gawai. He added that they had similar plans for students to return to their hometowns during both festive seasons and semester breaks. The target group for this initiative would first be students from public higher education institutions. In collaboration with the Higher Education Ministry, Loke said his ministry had identified and obtained data on students from Sabah and Sarawak who are studying in the peninsula, adding that the mechanism was currently being refined.
Embassy officials in Khartoum have successfully evacuated 2 Malaysian citizens from Sudan to a safe location, says Foreign Minister Datuk Sri Zamri Abdul Kadir. In a statement, he says officials also assisted in evacuating 6 nationals from the UK, the US and Canada. Although it was a high-risk operation, Zamri said it was necessary to ensure the safety of Malaysians overseas. This follows latest reports of increasing clashes between the Sudanese armed forces and rapid support forces in most areas of the capital. He added that the move was in preparation for the embassy to gather Malaysians in a secure location for future evacuation from Khartoum. Zamri had promised earlier this week to bring Malaysians in Sudan, who are mostly students, back to the country once the situation was safe enough to do so. Diplomatic pressure is being stepped up to end fighting in Sudan, where more than 400 people have been killed in the past week. The UN, US and other countries have been pushing for a 3-day ceasefire to mark Aidilfitri. For the past week, the regular army has been battling the Rapid Support Forces, which said it had agreed to a 72-hour ceasefire on humanitarian grounds to coincide with the celebrations. But the sound of gunfire and explosions can still be heard in the capital Khartoum. 2 previous attempts at a ceasefire have failed, raising doubts about the effectiveness of this new truce. The latest hope for a temporary truce came after UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres appealed for a ceasefire to allow civilians to reach safety.
All parties to the conflict are Muslim. We are living a very important moment in the Muslim calendar. I think this is the right moment for a ceasefire to hold. And this ceasefire is absolutely crucial at the present moment. We have been in contact with the parties. We believe it is possible, but everybody must be united in putting pressure for the ceasefire to take effectively place.
The UN has warned that between 10,000 and 20,000 people, mostly women and children, have fled Sudan amid fierce fighting to seek safety in neighboring country Chad. We'll go for a quick break. Stay tuned for more.
Dah hantar jemputan dah kat semua.
Hantar jemputan.
Bukalah hati menyambut Lebaran.
Jomlah kita duduk.
Ladies first.
Meletupkan. Lihat ke?
Usik mengusik dan berhibur bersama. Selamat hari Meletop Raya.
Bukalah hati.
Di Astro dan Astro Go.
Indonesia's ruling party has declared Central Java Governor Ganjar Pranowo as its candidate for the 2024 presidential election. Ganjar is up against former Jakarta Governor Anies Baswedan and ex-Special Forces Commander Prabowo Subianto in what is expected to be a hotly contested race to lead the world's third-largest democracy. The announcement put an end to months of political uncertainty, which was fueled by some government officials suggesting that the current president, Joko Widodo, should extend his tenure beyond the constitutional limit of 2 terms. Ganjar, who has been governor of Central Java since 2013, is among a generation of provincial leaders from outside of Indonesia's political elite who have built their voter base on a track record of reform, efficiency and transparency. But Ganjar's popularity dipped after he backed another governor's call to block Israel's participation in next month's Under-20 World Cup, which Indonesia was due to host. As a result, Indonesia was dropped as host by FIFA, leaving fans and players dismayed. A survey released in April showed that twice-defeated presidential hopeful Prabowo Subianto had taken a 5-point lead over Ganjar. Now, over in the UK, Oliver Dowden has been named the new Deputy Prime Minister and Alex Chalk the new Justice Secretary. They both replaced Dominic Raab, who resigned from both posts earlier today following an inquiry into bullying allegations against him. It made Raab the 3rd senior minister to depart over issues related to personal conduct in the last 6 months. In his resignation statement, Raab took aim at the inquiry for setting the threshold for bullying to be so low. He claimed the inquiry dismissed all but 2 of the claims leveled against him, which he said were flawed and set a dangerous precedent for the conduct of good governance. Raab had requested the investigation in November following formal complaints about his behavior from civil servants. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said that he has accepted Raab's resignation with great sadness. Raab's resignation also comes just 2 weeks ahead of English local council elections, where Sunak's Conservative Party is expected to fare badly. Elon Musk's net worth has taken a hit following the explosion of his SpaceX rocket, while Tesla delivered underwhelming earnings. According to Bloomberg's Billionaires Index, which monitors the real-time wealth of the richest people on the planet, Musk's personal fortune depleted by $12.6 billion on Thursday. Most of the billionaire's wealth comes from shares in Tesla, which dipped nearly 10% after a disappointing quarterly earnings report. The plummeting share price erased $58 billion from the company's market cap, putting investors on edge. At the same time, SpaceX's Starship, the most powerful rocket ever built, had taken off in South Texas, but exploded about 4 minutes into the air before stage separation. In response, Musk said he learned a lot from the launch and suggested the next one would go ahead within months. Despite remaining one of the richest people on the planet, Musk's wealth has also fallen drastically on the back of his Twitter acquisition for $44 billion. The social media platform began removing its signature blue checkmark from verified users who have not signed up for its $8 monthly subscription service. Accounts with checkmarks that predated Musk's takeover, known as legacy accounts, had their verification removed, including prominent figures such as Pope Francis and Bill Gates.
Government agencies, non-profits and public service accounts also lost the checkmark, raising concerns on how the public would be able to distinguish official channels of information from other accounts during emergencies.
In the final report for our week-long focus to mark Earth Day tomorrow, we decided to focus on climate issues. In particular, the challenges faced by the country and the importance of collective action in order to overcome them. We speak to Zara Pang from WWF Malaysia.
So our planet right now is in crisis, and the impacts from this crisis will be quite severe to the environment, to social and to economy as well. What we're seeing is that we're having a lot more extreme weather events. We're having a lot more flooding, a lot more landslides. We're seeing climate phenomena that we've never seen before in Malaysia. Last year, Bank Negara actually came out with a report, and they are looking at the environmental ecosystem services risks to businesses, and they found that actually I think it was 54% of the loan portfolios that they looked at are actually highly at risk from impacts to the environment, impacts to the ecosystem services that these businesses are relying on. So the risks, for example, are from flooding, they're from landslides, they're from pollution. So we've already seen in the past few years that farms, they have seen impacts to their crops, to their livestock as well. I remember reading a few years back that chickens were actually getting very sick from the haze. Businesses who don't already start addressing these issues are at high risk of further impacts to come.
Zora emphasized the importance of businesses as well as society as a whole to care and take action to protect the environment.
The things that they can be doing include, looking at the way that they are operating their businesses, their impacts to the environment, and also impacts to their employees and to their customers as well. So everybody needs to be doing their part. As an individual, I try and share with my friends and my colleagues what I'm doing, why I'm doing it as well. And I think the government has been making steps in this journey in terms of sharing the environmental issues that are happening in Malaysia. And companies as well, such as Astro, should be also doing their part in sharing about environmental impacts and also what we can do as a society to address those impacts.
That wraps up our news this evening, and from all of us at AWANI Tonight, we want to wish you Selamat Hari Raya Aidilfitri. I'm Cynthia Ng. Thank you for watching.